And we're live. What is good, Internet? We're back. Another episode of Morningwood. Last night was a huge night here in the NBA Internet bubble. Better night for some of us. Myself, I had a great night. Larry, mediocre at best, I'd say.
I mean, it's kind of business as usual. I mean, I don't want to be one of these teams that said that we got gifted the easy way.
Right. You want to work for it.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The Timberwolves getting the first pick. This is bullshit, to be honest. It just is. Like, how can you consider, like, the Knicks, do we help ourselves? Absolutely not. Do we deserve anything good that comes to us? Absolutely not.
No.
However, we also have the unluckiest lottery year after year, because we're always there. So year after year, we have the unluckiest lottery where teams like the Cavs, Timberwolves, the Suns are constantly gifted these picks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I don't think there's any shady business going on, but the fact that the Knicks continuously get unlucky time after time is certainly just weird. And I mean, the whole thing about rigging
kind of karma.
The whole thing about rigging the lottery doesn't really make sense, just from the fact that if the NBA wanted to rig something, they would want to rig it for the big markets.
Right.
Nobody wants to see, Minnesota land, a superstar a bunch of years. I mean, this is going to be their third number one pick, second, I guess. I mean, Cat, Wiggins.
Wiggins.
But Wiggins technically got drafted by Cleveland. I mean, if we're going to go into that technicality, they also had Anthony Bennett at that time. so they've had number ones.
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of trollish if the Knicks did get the number one pick or whatever, a high pick in this lottery as well, since this year is the quote-unquote worst draft in 20 years. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, it's going to be – you still got to make the right pick. I mean, there's no trust that I have for the Knicks if we got 2 or 3 that all of a sudden we'd make the right pick. If anything, I'm kind of stoked that being around 8, there's just no way. Oh, look at that thing we have. There's just no way LaMelo falls to the Knicks, which I don't want LaMelo on the Knicks at all. So this saves us from ourselves. I can appreciate that.
It does. Look, I have been a huge Devin Vassell guy over the last month. I think as far as players that the Knicks want, he is a guy who's probably going to be available to them at 8. He is a kind of a 2-3 swingman out of Florida State. He shot 40% from 3 in his freshman and sophomore season, although the volume wasn't crazy, but it was about 3.5 a game this year. Lockdown defender, the best team defender I think I've ever watched as a prospect. And he's a guy that if you're a team like New York and you want to start building towards something real, he's the kind of guy that you want. And he's the kind of guy that Thibodeau would love. He's not the dynamic point guard that Thibodeau likes, but he's a guy that Thibodeau would love. Thibodeau would also love Kyra Lewis Jr., who will absolutely be available at 8, who is that dynamic point guard. The Knicks have options. After you get past Anthony Edwards, and depending on how you feel about Wiseman and Ball, it gets a little clunky, and all of the players are somewhat similar. So it's not the end of the world. The draft is not going to be the worst draft in 20 years. There's just not that superstar talent that maybe you're accustomed to, in some of the draft years. But
there's going to be a situation where, again, I'm just using this example, but it's going to be a situation where it's like, wow, this team took Ntilikina over Donovan Mitchell. There's going to be that situation in here. I feel like there's going to be gems. They just have to go out and find them and make the right pick.
Yeah. And as far as the Bulls went, good night. They bumped up to 4. I'm terrified of the prospect of the Bulls taking LaMelo Ball.
I'm so stoked for LaMelo Bulls. I'm stoked for this.
I don't know if I believe that they are going to be in position to draft him. I can't see 3 of the teams passing.
I can.
It is a slight possibility. Last night on Knicks Fan TV, we did a live post-lottery breakdown, and we did break down a scenario where it was kind of like, all right, LaMelo could drop conceivably if the Warriors are a wild card, because one, there's a lot of talk that they like Denny Avdia from Israel, and he is a guy that would fit seamlessly with the Warriors, and taking him at 2, a team like the Warriors can afford to do that. But the Warriors are also a trade candidate, whether that's trade out completely or trade down. So they're a real wild card situation. I think, they're a team that is definitely willing to trade back because they're in win now situation. It's going to be interesting for the Bulls. I hope the Bulls kind of land Denny Avdia. I would be happy with if somehow Anthony Edwards slipped.
You heard it here. Wait for like 2 months from now when the LaMelo Bulls are a thing and the Harwood Herald switches. I think it's a great fit.
Look, I said last night on Knicks Fans TV that as soon as LaMelo Ball's name is called to Chicago, I think he's the best player of all time and he has no flaws, and I've been with him from the start.
Yeah, I mean, Charlotte. Will Charlotte take him because they are paying Rozier a lot of money?
I do think Charlotte would take LaMelo Ball if he's. I mean, obviously depends on who else is available, but Rozier. I mean, ideally, he's probably a bench guy.
Now for $20 million, his contract doesn't say he is.
Devontae Graham is really cheap. Devontae Graham and LaMelo together fit in the backcourt. There's not a lot of defense there, but at least height-wise, they can both. LaMelo's tall, so he can guard twos, and theoretically, and they're
LaMelo
both
Bulls. Let's go.
They're both dynamic playmakers. Charlotte could take him. I know a lot of people are not as high on the prospect of James Wiseman landing in Charlotte, but James Wiseman's the number 1 dude on my board. And a lot of people look at centers and say, well, you can get that value in the second round or later in the first round or in free agency for cheap. So why are you going to use a draft pick on a center? And I totally understand that line of thought, but people say the same thing about small point guards. So that leaves us with, 2 kind of players that we should be taking at the top of these drafts. And if we're trying to fit a round peg into, a square hole because we want to pick some idealized version, you're going to miss out on talented guys. And Wiseman is an absolute gigantic monster human being who has skill. And, I could envision him with the right development team having that kind of Joel Embiid-like impact defensively and, being a plus on offense at the same time. So I still have him number 1. I think Charlotte would probably take him and fit him. He at least fits into their roster pretty seamlessly because I think they're losing a lot of their big men. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes as we get closer to the draft. I'll be doing more draft breakdowns and more draft coverage. Got some really cool ideas that I don't want to let out of the bag yet for how I'm going to release my big board, but it'll be released at some point. And now it's time to move on to some NBA playoff stuff. So, I mean, I think that we should probably start with the Lakers and the Blazers.
Yeah, Lakers took care of business. They played defense last night. Granted, Dame got hurt, but that was so late in the game. They're already getting crushed by that time.
They're already getting killed.
But so, I mean, at the end of the day, Lakers just took care of business. They played defense. That's really what it came down to. Dame and wasn't lighting it up. Anthony Davis showed that he's still, he's obviously a beast. There's still way too much perimeter Anthony Davis than I would like to see. But overall, Lakers did what they needed to do. They got production out of Caldwell Pope also, which you can't rely on. But with LeBron's teams, you're supposed to have this one random guy who steps up per game.
Yeah, and you mentioned all of the we had all the one guy stepping up. The bench stepped up. J.R. Smith, he actually played. He didn't shoot it too well, but he's the threat out there. He hit 3 threes, 3 for 9 from behind the arc. He still stretches the floor even when he's not necessarily banging threes. I like that he played because, we mentioned earlier in the, discussion that he is a guy that has been there and at least, isn't afraid to knock down shots, play defense if he doesn't have to overthink the game. I also like that Anthony Davis came out and had 31 and 11. We said him to come out and be more aggressive and be that guy that looks like that generational talent that, we're always having him hyped up to be. What I'm shocked by from the Lakers point of view, because I thought they didn't need to hit 3-pointers in this series to win, because there's going to be a game where they shoot 100 free throws. And they really didn't shoot a ton of free throws last night.
Anthony Davis, he catches the ball on the perimeter every time.
Yeah, he does. So you're not getting free throws there. LeBron, could get to the basket anytime he wants, but that's really taxing on his body.
As well as playing point guard. LeBron driving is usually a point guard driving kick situation. There was possession yesterday that I saw that they actually ran where LeBron was in the perimeter. He passed the ball to Anthony Davis inside the post, and it's horrifying because everybody else moves to the other side, and you're just playing a 2-man game with them too. You have a Whiteside on AD on the bottom, and you have Melo on LeBron trying to help. You can't. There's no answer. You can't do anything.
No.
If you try to help AD, kicks to LeBron, and you got to help because he's gonna. Either player is gonna take him. 1v1. It's. I want to see more of that. It's horrifying to watch.
It is. Let's hope that Dame's finger is okay.
Yeah, that would suck if that. I'm sure it's not gonna keep him out, but it hopefully doesn't affect him.
And he said he's playing. Shout out to Stilo LeVar not allowing LaMelo to go to Charlotte.
Well, you remember too. Also, LeVar has not been too kind to talking about Michael Jordan either. Factor that in.
That's true. Maybe we finally get that 1v1.
And Michael Jordan seems the guy to be like, nah, I ain't taking that dude's son.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if Mike wants to deal with LeVar either, huh?
LaMelo Bulls back in play.
Rockets Thunder. I think this was both of our best bets yesterday.
Do you think he's going to take Satoransky's minutes or Arcianato? Yeah, Rockets are both our best bets. The Rockets, they're just good. They're just in drive mode. They're just going with the flow, doing what they do. James Harden didn't even light it up yesterday. They're a complete team right now. They're playing great defense. They're doing everything they're supposed to be doing.
Shout out James Harden, 9 assists, 0 turnovers. That's from your lead ball handler. You can't possibly ask for more from a creation standpoint. 9 to 0 assist to turnover ratio. But like we say, what you need in the playoffs are those guys that are going to go off. And the Rockets, every one of their guys has that. And last night, Jeff Green looked like the good Jeff Green. And the thing is, his role is so simplified here. I don't know. He seems like he could be a consistent, guy on this team.
He has been, along with Covington, along with Austin Rivers, along with Ben McLemore when he's available. But when PJ Tucker is giving this team on defense, he's the anchor of the whole thing. Yeah.
This team they're scary. And I think they're scarier with Russ, which a lot of people were worried about. And when Russ comes back, it's going to be scarier.
I don't know if Russ should come back. I kind of like him sitting on the sideline in a cutoff sleeve Iron Maiden t-shirt, just hyping up his boys. I like it. I wish I can have that dude in my office.
Yeah, you might actually like going there.
Hey, but give it up for the Thunder. I think they're just outmatched, but they should be excited with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander putting up 31 in a playoff game.
That's what we wanted.
Legitimately, I haven't seen a Nick, draftee do that. Granted, we haven't made the playoffs to have an opportunity to do that, but it's nice to see that, young players stepping up for your team, that you can't be happier.
No, especially, coming off a situation where he had 8 games, the game 8 points the game before, and now he throws up a 31 in a playoff scenario, which you'd love to see. Obviously they have a ton of future assets going forward that are, it's going to be fun to see what they do with the current assets they have. We'll see, but let's see. JB, we should have Shai. Yeah. The thing with SGA at the time of the draft, he went where he was mocked to go. So it's not, he's one of those guys that you look back and wonder why, but, even myself, I was worried about his shot translating, and if he couldn't be a shooter, then how is he going to get to the rim? But he's improved his shot enough, and maybe that's something to consider going forward with guys, that your shot, in an NBA development program is going to get better. And then let's see, Chris, Devin Vassell to the Knicks, can't wait. Like I said, been saying that for a while. It'd be a great fit. Let's move on to our next playoff series. Where do you want to go from here? Let's go Magic Bucks.
Magic Buck. Yeah, the Bucks again came out, took care of business, did what they needed to do. Giannis is insane, but someone's got to stop Vucevic.
Yeah. I mean, the Magic came out flat. It felt like they were pressing. They were like dribbling the ball off of each other. They just don't have the talent, to match up over a 7-game series. They definitely have the talent to, steal, I think, another game in the series. What up, Alexian? Thanks for watching.
Brook Lopez shows that he's still the best shooter in the league, shooting 50% from the 3-point line. It's insane the way he was able to translate his game to be an outside shooter like that.
It really is.
When he's on, they are a different team.
He's there. I mean, he just adds a dimension that not a lot of teams have, because Brook Lopez is not your traditional stretch big, because he's like a stretch super big.
Yeah, I mean, Middleton had 2 points yesterday, so someone else has to step up. So when Brook Lopez is hitting these shots from the outside, it just opens up everything in the paint, and it's easier for Giannis to get there.
Yeah, then you got, they had their bench production. They had Connaughton go for 15. DiVincenzo had 11. Korver had 9, 15 minutes. So, when they get that bench production, they're scary. But, I still, and granted, the Bucks kind of blew them out a little bit. It was never close, even though it's only like a 15-point game or whatever.
It still wasn't even. It wasn't that close.
It wasn't that close. So you look at the minutes distribution, and 30 minutes. Brook Lopez played 33 minutes. That was the highest amount.
Took the starters out, put the bench guys in.
Yeah,
the game was never close from the start. The Bucks took care of business, did what they needed to do. Again, that defense yesterday, the defense got a lot tighter based off what we're discussing from the day before. Defense got a lot better yesterday, and buckets were a lot harder to get.
Yeah, I'm still nervous about the Bucks offense going forward as the playoffs.
Yeah, because they don't run on offense.
Middleton's just got to get hot, and he's capable of it. I mean, he's had playoff series where he is really hot, and he does look like he could be the best player on the floor at times. But they just, they got to get their stuff together in the next 2 games, 3 games, whatever it is. Ideally, if you're Milwaukee, you want to get this done in 5, so you can kind of get on kind of a roll. And I think that's what they need to do. I still want to see them kind of, win a game by like 27. But, it's the playoffs, and it's not like that's an easy ask in any scenario against any of these teams, and especially in the bubble, which, as you alluded to, which is a fun talking point going around on the internet after you said it, this bubble is a lot like hockey playoffs.
Yeah, it's really fun because anything can happen with any of these teams. It's going to be a really weird playoffs, and I think actually we might all enjoy it more. Yeah,
this is, I think, one of the most obviously memorable, just because of the fact that we're in a bubble during a pandemic. But I think just the games in and of themselves, the storylines that we're creating, the parity for the first time that we felt that anybody could win on any given night, it's just making every game exciting. Our final game from last night was Miami and Indiana, and Jimmy Buckets continues to be the guy who's backing up all of the talk, kind of the engine that makes them go. I just love it. I love Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's being the hybrid. He's being whatever. He's being the symbol anything Gotham needs. He's literally just doing whatever that team needs at that moment, bouncing around. If they need help defense, he's there. If they need him to try to take over and shoot a 3, he's been doing it. His 3-point shooting percentage is great the last few games compared to being awful all season. Jimmy's being the anchor to do whatever that team needs him to do. As I've been saying from the beginning, TJ Warren is not the real deal. He can't pull it off in the playoffs. He's just not the guy. Suns got lucky.
Man, they really dodged a bullet there. Miami's just a fun team when they're rolling, man. Duncan Robinson, 7 of 8 from downtown, 24 points on 8 shots. He's a guy that he went undrafted 2 years ago.
It's crazy.
It's not like the league was not aware that shooting was important 2 years ago.
It's frustrating because, like, again, being in New York, and obviously I primarily watch Knicks games, and being able these guys don't exist for the Knicks. There's never a guy that we just find that went undrafted 2 years ago who's all of a sudden a quality player. That doesn't exist on the Knicks. So it's like, for me to see other teams find this over and over again,
it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I mean, this used to be something the Bulls did. Now it's, Ryan Arcidiacono, who I love. He's a try-hard guy, very TJ McConnell-esque, but
it's a shame LaMelo's going to take those minutes.
Yeah, well, we can only hope. Let's move on to today.
Do you think they unretire 23 for him? I think he'll get 23, right?
Yeah, I don't see why that would be an issue. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. I certainly wouldn't.
Ooh, how about that? If Jordan doesn't take him in Charlotte, he takes the 23 in Chicago.
Yeah,
I like it.
Because he'll hold out if they don't give him 23, probably.
Right. There you go. I like it.
Raptors Nets, no Joe Harris. He is out of the bubble. Karis LeVert's got to go for, I don't know, like 65.
Yeah, I think this is Raptors defense too good. I think this playoff series is going to be a sweep. Yeah,
I want to see Brooklyn do some really weird stuff. Like, let's see like some 2-2-1 full court presses. Let's get a 1-3-1 half court going. Let's just get creative and see if things work, because they're not going to win. So let's just do some wild, weird stuff to make it fun.
Raptors just got to get in and out and not get hurt. This is what that is about the Raptors. Their defense is too good for the Nets to score.
That's it. Move the ball around, get open shots. Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry are going to continue to roll. I have no doubt about that. So just nobody get hurt. Let's make this.
I want to see that Raptors Bucks series so bad, or even add Celtics to the mix to either of those teams. It's just going to be really fun.
Raptors Celtics can be a lot of fun. Jazz Nuggets. The question is, what Jamal Murray are we getting today?
God damn it. I have no idea. Like the Nuggets, you tanked. You rested players for this series.
Yeah.
This is what you wanted. And so the Nuggets, Jamal Murray has to step up. If not, it's going to be all on Michael Porter Jr. again. If Donovan Mitchell comes out again and balls hard, I have no idea what's going to happen in this game.
I fully expect Donovan Mitchell to come out and ball hard.
Right, but Donovan Mitchell balling hard isn't always a good thing, because again, a lot of those shots, a couple bounces a different way, it's a much different type of bowling hard that is hurting than helping.
I just look. Gary Harris is nearing return, but is not available yet. The Nuggets need Gary Harris. His offense has really been inconsistent, and he's struggled over the last 2 seasons with it. But he brings an element to this team defensively that without him, they just don't really have a way to make up. And not that Gary Harris, especially coming off an injury that makes it hard for you to defend, which is your hip, and also hasn't played a game since March, and is also coming right into a playoff atmosphere. It's not ideal, but it's better than what they got. So if he could just at least make Donovan Mitchell work 5% harder for his shots, that would be a plus. But it's on, a lot is on Jamal Murray, and it shouldn't be, because from top to bottom, with the roster that Utah brought into the bubble, there isn't really a scenario where Utah's more talented than them.
Absolutely not. Denver, they wanted the series. Go out and take it. You wanted it.
Telling you right now, JB, Heat will knock out the Bucks second round.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun series for sure. I don't think they can do it, but it's gonna be fun.
You know what? The Heat's offense garnering a lot of threes does bode kind of well for the way that the Bucks defend, where they want to give up threes, but they want to give up bad threes. But Duncan Robinson is such a stupid good shooter that I don't think it matters where he's shooting from. Tyler Hero can get hot. Maybe. It's a tough battle. It's a tough battle for sure. And
who are they putting on Giannis?
I mean, that's I guess they're going to throw Crowder at him, throw a little bit of Jimmy. Jimmy will take it in spurts. That's I guess that's a question for most teams. Oh,
sure.
They're going to go Bam.
Yeah.
Bam's the honest guy.
Right.
They're going to go Bam. That's their move. What does that do for Bam on the other end, where he's got to, put all of that effort? Who knows? But
isn't the 76ers the point of getting Horford was to be the honest guy?
I guess we'll get that out of the way. Yeah, the Sixers, I think they wanted him to be the honest guy, but if you don't get to play Giannis, does it matter?
God damn it. I hate this. I don't see they're not going to make any adjustments. Celtics.
Joel needs a 50-point game tonight.
Right. And realistically, he's shorthanded. I talk a lot of ish about Joel and in this, going out and getting it. He's been playing well the last, these two games. It's not on him. They're just shorthanded. They just don't have anybody to create an offense. There's no offense on this team. It's just a bunch of guards who shouldn't be in the situation they're in.
Yeah, I mean, they struggle creating offense with Simmons.
Right.
Obviously, it was easier, but I mean, just the construction of the team top to bottom just doesn't make any sense. They went with let's just maximize talent and we'll figure out the pieces later, and they never figured out the pieces.
No, and Tobias Harris, you got to be that piece. You got to be the guy who steps up to try to help bring this team to a win. Joel's going to get his. It's up to you, Tobias.
I think one of these episodes we're going to have to dedicate a 5-minute segment to figuring out. We're going to both research where we could possibly send Tobias Harris that makes sense.
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be rough, but I'm down to do it.
I think that's what we're going to have to do. Because I love Tobias Harris. He's a great piece on a certain team. This is not the team for him to be that great piece on. They could really use Jimmy Butler right now. Last game, and this one is probably the game of the night.
Yeah, I think this is the most fun. It's got to be the game of the night. I mean, this is a battle. This is a real series now. This is not a joke anymore. The Mavs are for real. The Clippers, everybody needs to step up, not just Kawhi. Tonight, it's time to light switch everybody, not just Kawhi. We know what Kawhi can do. You can't do it by themselves. I mean, you put it down. If you look at these two rosters, the Raptors from last year to the Clippers of this year, the Clippers are supposed to be better.
They're supposed to be. I mean, the NBA, would they really be upset if Luka won?
No, I don't think so.
So let's get that out of the way, that the refs are going to help one team or the other. I think Luka's gearing up to be the face of the NBA at some point fairly soon. So I don't think that, they care which team advances or not.
Are we sure Seth Curry isn't better than Steph? No, I think
now after Steph's cornrows, I mean,
are we sure Seth isn't better? I mean, he just hasn't been in the right situation. The spotlight really hasn't been on him.
I saw somebody put a picture of Steph's cornrows next to Sean Paul, and it's uncanny. It's just absolutely uncanny. There's no answer for Porzingis.
No, there's not. There's no answer for Kawhi. But I think at the same time, this is a battle. I mean, it's really not. This is not. It's a battle. Who wants it more? There's going to be matchup problems on both sides. The Clippers on paper should be better because their bench is better. But is Pat Beverly playing? Do we know?
Let's see. Doubtful.
I hate that for the Clippers. Pat Beverly brings a lot of that toughness that team needs.
he brings all of the toughness that they need. I mean, he's the toughness. He is the guy that I believe is tough. I don't believe it from the Morris twin.
I was talking basketball with someone a long time ago about Pat Beverly, and he said one of the funniest things I think I've ever heard, because it's still so funny and so true. He says Pat Beverly plays like he doesn't have a family, and I love that because he just goes out there and gives it all.
That's it. Like I said, you miss Pat Beverly, you got to start playing Reggie Jackson real minutes, and
I hate that,
and I hate that too. So we're gonna see.
I'd rather take the Knicks point guard situation than Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, I'd rather take.
Do you want Elfrid Payton or Reggie Jackson?
I probably want Elfrid Payton. I don't want either, but I want. God, Dennis Smith Jr. or Reggie Jackson?
Ooh, I hate Dennis Smith Jr. But do you want Reggie Jackson or Elfrid Payton? All right, you got LaMelo Ball. You nailed it.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. The draft is still so far away.
There's just no way. Like, I'm reading all mock drafts, and it's all saying LaMelo to Charlotte.
Yeah.
We just watched The Last Dance. You're going to tell me Jordan is going to take LeVar's son? I don't buy it. He's way too petty for that.
He is. And I don't think he loves his competitiveness. Let's be honest. If Jordan had his way, he's taking Cole Anthony because he went to North Carolina.
Yeah, but why? Like, it's saying Wiseman goes after. I feel like Wiseman would absolutely take. Jordan absolutely take Wiseman. Why wouldn't he take Wiseman?
Payton is trash.
No, he's trash. He's not good. But I'd rather have that trash than Reggie Jackson trash.
Yeah, at least that trash is just like
we're comparing garbage.
It's like a wrapper. It's like a food wrapper. It doesn't smell.
Sure.
Reggie Jackson's the trash that like stinks.
You know what? How about this? Elfrid Payton wants to be good.
Yeah, he wants to be. I mean, I think Reggie Jackson wants to be too, and I think that's his big problem.
I think Reggie Jackson wants to be paid and doesn't understand why he isn't the superstar the team's looking for. All
right, let's get to best bets.
We both had the Rockets yesterday.
Yeah.
Both crushed, knocked that one out of the park. I'm going to double down off my last best bet that I got wrong. Denver -1.5. Let's go Nuggets.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Denver -1.5 as well. Yeah, I think the Nuggets are gonna pull it out.
Yeah, it's a bounce back game. Again, I keep saying it. They wanted this series. They have to go out and take it. It's literally all on Donovan Mitchell on the Jazz.
Yeah, 100%. Before we get out of here, Lochi, let's see. Thoughts on Knicks trading up with the Hawks to get 6 and take Killian?
The answer is, what are they trading to get there?
Yeah, I mean, are you giving up Kevin Knox to move up 2 spots? The Knicks brought in a Kentucky guy. Maybe they feel like they can make something out of Knox and they don't want to trade him at his lowest value. What are you trading to move up to 6? I don't think it's impossible for the team to trade up if they want to, and I don't think that Atlanta in that 6th spot is in a place where they're like, we need to stay here to get our guy, because they can get a lot of guys that will fit that roster. And the way that Lloyd Pierce was talking, they might trade out of the draft altogether.
Yeah,
they want somebody who's going to be able to help them win. I mean, Lloyd Pierce he's coaching for his job next year, most likely, if the Hawks don't start winning more games. So they want somebody who's going to come in and contribute. I don't know who the Knicks have to offer to move up to help them there in that scenario. Maybe there's a 3-way scenario if you want to get creative. But is it impossible? It's not. It's just what are you willing to give up?
I just don't think the Knicks have the value to do it. I mean, besides attaching more than one draft pick, which we don't want to do that.
No.
So I don't think they have that piece to do it. If you're going to start talking a 3-way, then that's basically going to end up unloading a bad contract that someone has to absorb somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, they're not taking Randall.
No.
Is Portis, is he a free agent? Or they signed him for 2 years? What's his scenario?
It's one of the 1-on-1 deals. I don't know. I think it's a team option, I believe.
Okay. If they pick up the team option, I don't even know if they could trade him. Some of those scenarios are like that. Yeah, they just don't have or maybe Frank. Maybe you're willing to do it with Frank.
But it's like you're kind of better off at this point riding it out.
Yeah, I think Frank is going to be a contributor somewhere. He actually,
Frank's going to be really good on some other team. He's going to be an off the bench defensive guy who can hit some threes. He'll be a 3-and-D, but he needs LeBron next to him. He needs a superstar next to him.
Atlanta's actually not a bad spot for him.
Yeah, I guess.
Trey creates those same looks that you want, and he can kind of cover defensively when he's playing with Trey. So that's not a bad.
I think Trey is fake good. I think I'm just not a believer in Trey.
I don't think Trey's fake good. I just, he needs the right pieces around him, the perfect fit in order to maximize the fact that he's such a minus on the defensive end. All right, that's it's gonna do it for today. We'll be back at it on Monday morning.
Enjoy the weekend, y'all.
Enjoy the weekend. For those of you who had lottery luck on your side, I salute you. For those of you who had a bounce back, let's see who we got. One more comment. Let's get to it. Are you really saying the Knicks can't move up to 6? All it'll take is 1 or 2 second-round picks. The player the Hawks want will most likely be available at 8 as well. Jason, I agree that the player that the Hawks want will be available at 8. I don't know if getting a second-round pick is enough to do it. Even in a weak draft, it typically takes more than just a second-round pick to move up 2 spots.
Yeah, what history do you have of seeing any trade where a team was able to move up 2 spots with a second-round pick? It doesn't happen, because if that's the situation, then why wouldn't the team in the 9th spot or the 10th spot move up and they can just give a second-round pick or 2 second-round picks? It just does, that second-round picks don't move the needle at all.
Not as much as you want them to. Second-round picks are great to have. They're fun assets, but sometimes they get overvalued. Typically, maybe there's a player that the Hawks really love, or they want to gear up for that 2021 draft because maybe it'll be the double draft type thing. Is it possible? It's possible, but we'll see. We'll see. And it's really early in the process. The draft is still so far away. We don't know how teams are going to work out.
There's going to be a ton of mistakes. There's no March Madness to really judge these players.
We don't know if there's going to be in-person workouts yet.
There literally might be, the scouts might be watching Harvard Herald videos.
Well, they should be, because they're the best scouting videos on the internet.
Sure.
So, yeah, all right. We'll see you guys on Monday.
LaMelo Bulls!
Let's do it.